Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle, and today I'm going to be sharing my homeschool schedule. So recently I shared my homeschool picks for the 2024-2025 school year. I'll link them up above for you in case you missed them. But I did get some comments asking to share my schedule, which is funny because I usually share my schedule shortly after my curriculum pick video, so it was perfect timing. So I'm going to be sharing how I implement the curriculum I picked, because I think that is a really helpful thing to share, because it's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to use all this stuff, but I think it's more helpful to say, how am I going to use this? How am I going to fit it in? So I'm going to take you through kind of my scheduling process from the beginning of my yearly schedule, breaking it down to what we do on a weekly basis. So the first thing I do is I create a yearly schedule. Our start end dates are vacations. So we do a Sabbath schedule. So we do 6 weeks on, 1 week off. And sometimes it's 7 weeks. Rarely it's 8 weeks, depending on vacation times and things like that. But I tend to do somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks on and then a week off. I've talked about this in the past, how I take that week off to prep for the following 6, 7 weeks, whatever our school looks like. That way I'm doing it in smaller chunks. I'm not planning the entire year out. I think that's overwhelming, first of all. Not to mention changes happen, and I like to take that 6 or 7 weeks we're on school to really test out how our schedule is working, how the things I chose are working, and make adjustments need be. So when I have that week off, I can make an adjustment saying, hey, I need to find a different spot for this, or we need to rotate it in. I can make adjustments. I'm not sealed to this exact schedule the entire year, but as you can see in a lot of my past videos, the schedules that I tend to make are the schedules we tend to keep. And I think getting into those habits of schedules really makes the day flow easier for you and your students. So I'm going to show you, the first thing I do is I print a yearly calendar, and this is helpful because I need to know when we're taking time off. Specifically, I aim our breaks around my husband's time off from work, and because he is a pastor, there are certain times of year where he's really busy, like Easter and Christmas. So we usually take the week after Christmas off, usually the week after Easter, and that's just to really optimize the amount of family time we have. So I will go through and I'll actually show you the calendar I printed out and how I marked things. So this is the yearly calendar I print out, and it's just from Calendarpedia, and they have different formats and things you can create. So I do an August start, August to July. So the first thing I go through, and I do have a little legend on the bottom here, mark our first day of school. So our first day of school is August 5th, and then I put in vacation time. So my husband has vacation in September, he has vacation in November, December, April, and then June. So I know those will be our family vacation times, and I do put in, what we tend to do. So September we'll be going to a water park resort. Same thing with June of next summer. We're going to try to do the water park resort in the summer so the kids can do the inside and the outside. And what I will look at there is I will then look at how many weeks I have. So for example, the first chunk of school will be 7 weeks because of when our vacation has already been scheduled. And knowing when vacations are too can be helpful. So I know in February for this vacation, we usually do a museum trip, something like that. But then I can calculate the number of weeks. So when I'm preparing for school, I'm only preparing the first 7 weeks. And then when I have this week off here, we of course will be on vacation, but not the entire week. I will take that time to also prep for the next amount of time. If that makes sense, I hope that's helpful. But that's really how I roll the schedule, so smaller chunks. So next, let's get into actual calendars. So my 4-year-old, he will be doing preschool again this year, and I decided to print him a visual schedule. I laminated it so he can take a dry erase marker and cross things off when he's done. He really likes to X things out, so I think this will be fun for him. And I do always display my kids' calendars or schedules on our wall by our big monthly calendar, so everybody knows what's expected of them, and I think having them in visual range is really helpful for kids. So I just took pictures of the curriculum he'll be using, and he will take a dry erase marker every day and mark off what he has been doing. But you can see this is not going to take a long time. This, he does a page up, maybe a page or two, page of this, and then core knowledge, Preschool usually takes us more like 15-20 minutes, depending on what activities we choose. It could be longer, but you can see this is not, I suspect 30 to 45 minutes he'll be done with his day, and that's not too much. One thing we have been also doing is we're getting ready to learn to read. I got this board from Target years ago, from the Target dollar section, and we've been just working on individual letters. So you can see here, this is ant, cat, and then you put the corresponding letter. So we'll sound each letter out and segment that way. He will either do that every day, or he will do his letter tiles, which he just tells me the sound that each of the letter makes. And that's just foundational stuff to get him ready to do all about reading. But again, I suspect that we will, at some point in the school year, move into kindergarten level work. But as of now, for the next 7 weeks, this is his schedule. So pretty easy. And I usually do his work before I do my daughter's. We usually have 9 a.m. start time. I usually start him around 8:30. So this next year, it'll probably be closer to 8:15 that he'll start, to make sure we have time to finish everything. But that is his schedule. Next will be my 7-year-olds. And this I just make on Canva. It's a free template, and I just include little graphics that I think represent my children. So hedgehog, fairy. So this is fall. So this will be the first 7 weeks of school. And as you can see, it's similar to what we had last year. This is also similar to our summer schedule. So our school is always just a continuation somewhat of our previous schedule. So math, we do dimensions. That won't take us long. Handwriting, she has 2 different options for that. I've already showed that in my curriculum video. Again, these aren't taking long. It's doing a page out of these, and this is something I consider independent that she can do without me, so that's not an issue. Now, in my curriculum video, I talked about how she has the Math Mammoth skills, and I did print the next 7 weeks of that off for her. And one thing I've decided is, looking at her schedule, it can be a little full. She does have ADHD, so I do have to be mindful that I'm not overwhelming her. It doesn't mean she can't do the work, but I just have to break it up in a way that she is capable of doing it. So, is the Math Mammoth review sheets necessary for her? No. She actually gets math really easily and likes to do a lot of mental math. So she enjoys doing the math review sheets, but they are not necessary. So if I'm starting to see she's becoming overwhelmed, because she does have a lot of language arts, which I'll get to. If she becomes overwhelmed, this is something that can become optional. Those are one of the things I can change or adjust. Or if she has time where she's waiting for me to finish with one of her siblings, she can do one of these math sheets for fun. But you can see that's not on here because this is going to be optional for her, or if I think she needs the added practice. So that is one of those things that is flexible for next year. Next, all about reading level 3. Again, this we've been using all about reading for many years. This does not take us a long time. Most lessons are, she does her review cards, we learn a new concept, we do the activity. The next day, we'll add the additional cards, do the fluency sheet, and some reading, and so on. So that's how we split up lessons, and it's worked well. She's that far, and that's how we'll continue to do it. So she's familiar with a lot of the things we are already using, which is very helpful for a child with ADHD. I think sometimes the common thing you hear is, oh, my child has ADHD, I have to switch it up, or try new things all the time. My child, in particular, benefits greatly from routine and structure. When she knows what's coming next, transitions are not difficult for her. So we started first language lessons this summer, and it's been going really well. Again, this is not something I anticipate will take long. The lessons are super short. We're on lesson 17 right now. Like, we can get this done in a matter of minutes. So that is not overwhelming at all. Core knowledge, grade 3. I've already printed everything ready for that. And I think it will be a little longer this year because the student readers are a bit longer. So I do anticipate that being a bigger chunk. That's why I have it after lunch. So I expect my 7-year-old to be able to do math with me, to do her handwriting independently. If she has extra time, she can do her math skills with Math Mammoth. We'll do all about reading level 3, and we'll do first language lessons together. Then we'll have lunch. After lunch will be another language arts chunk, and this will be the same for my oldest as well. She'll be doing core knowledge grade 3 with me, and that will coincide with when my 11-year-old is doing her IEW. She can do her IEW without me, which leaves me time to work with my 7-year-old with core knowledge. I've already previewed the units. I have an idea of how we're going to do it. Again, that is part of my teacher prep to be prepared. So that is the main bulk of her stuff. And as you can see, it's very similar to last year. It's very similar to summer. We're using consistency with our curriculum, and it makes it easier for my 7-year-old because she knows what's coming next. She knows what's expected of her. The only other thing she does that my oldest doesn't do is her Spanish, and we just do that once a day on Mondays. So you can see we're here. I did some copy work here. So we go over the lesson, which again is not long. We just went over this last week, days of the week, and then they do some activity. They do an activity page, and we will go over her index cards that she makes for every new vocabulary set we get in Spanish. She makes vocabulary cards, and we go over those daily. So you can see it's not overwhelming. There's time for everything. I will get into group work when I talk about my oldest, because a lot of it is aimed at her. But you can see she has math, she has handwriting practice, all about reading level 3, first language lessons, lunch, core knowledge. After core knowledge and my oldest finishes her stuff, we will move into history, and we will find time to do Spanish somewhere in there. I assume we'll get time to do core knowledge grade 3 and Spanish together while my oldest is doing IEW, but we'll see. The same schedule goes throughout. You can see I added our group work or electives, art, election study from Mint and Bloom. Science is Thursday and Friday, just like it's been for the last 2 years. And our co-op will stay the same on Fridays. And you can see Friday is a lighter day. And that is done on purpose because we have co-op. And we also, my oldest has writing lessons on Friday morning. So I have to make adjustments for that. My husband is home, so he does usually do school with my 4-year-old and my 7-year-old. And having the schedule helps him as well. So she'll do math, handwriting. Instead of all about reading level 3, she usually does readers or independent reading. She'll do her first language lessons, she'll do her core knowledge, we'll do science together and co-op. And that's pretty much our day on Friday. But that's an outline of her schedule. And something I want to point out that when I make schedules is I don't choose curriculum and then schedule it. When I'm looking at curriculum, I have a sheet on OneNote, which I will actually show you. So I've shared before, and I'll link up above, how I use OneNote for record keeping and planning. But you can see here I have the 2024-2025 school year. I have plans for next summer, preschool, 2nd grade, 6th grade. Part of each tab is an overview. So when I'm looking at curriculum for the next year, I write down individual subjects. So language arts, math, other group subjects, group work. And then I have this little template here, this table, to kind of lay out where I think things will fall. I do not purchase curriculum until I have a schedule, a rough idea of how I'm going to use that. I think it's very easy to overbuy curriculum and not use what you have. So this really helps prevent that. I'm making these choices based on, can I actually physically fit it in our schedule? Not buying it and then trying to fit it later. And you can see I will have the same thing for my oldest when I get into hers. I group into hers different areas that she has, and then I look at the schedule. I also always keep her overview of middle school, what I anticipate it will look like as backup, but this helps me organize things and also where that curriculum will fall. And I take this generated outline and use it to make the Canva one that I just showed you. As you can see here, this looks very similar to what I have in my Canva thing, but this has a lot more notes associated with it because these are more my teacher notes. So I always start by making my yearly outline, then I go to OneNote, divide by subjects, figure out what curriculum I want to use for those subjects, plug it into the calendar. I take the calendar from OneNote and create this on Canva. So let's go over my oldest, my 11-year-olds. So she will do math Monday through Friday. That's dimensions. Again, it doesn't take us an hour. I think maybe 30 minutes we're probably spending on math, depending on if she struggles or not. Health is just reading a chapter in one of her assigned books this year. She's a quick reader. She loves to read. Assigning her reading has never been an issue. Math skills is what she will be doing for Math Mammoth Review. Again, I've shown that in her curriculum picks video. So I will get out her folder that shows this. All right, so vocabulary, brain, or editor, and punctuation. So she's gonna switch these off. 1 week, she's gonna do her capitalization and punctuation, and editor-in-chief. These are both independent works. These do not take long. I think some people saw my pick video and they're like, wow, that's a lot. A lot of this is quick. A lot of it is independent. This is all she does daily. 1 page. 1 page. Well, some of it's reading, but 1 page. So that's quick independent work. Same with this. She'll do 1 page. So those will be chunked together. So if she's on this week, she'll do both of these 1 page. The following week, she will be using both these for her independent work. Again, this also does not take long. Reading the definitions and doing a page every day, Monday through Friday. And then I did already print this out and go through and decide which things she'll be doing. So I'm not having her keep a reading log. I'm not having her do a biography paper because those things are already incorporated in, she does writing. She doesn't need to have that. But I did want her to have these little tiny tidbits of information. So example, this is a lesson. It's not going to take her long to do one of these. So she'll be rotating. 1 week she'll do these 2. The following week she'll do these 2, and all of that will be independent work. Math skills, already printed that out for the next 7 weeks. Again, she does 1 page of these. This is not a new concept. This is just practicing things she has already learned to help cement it. Again, independent, does not take long. So next would be phonetic zoo. So I've already looked through the program. Again, I can't stress this enough that reading the teacher guide, reading how things are implemented is going to really help you actually use the program. I think some people don't read the teacher guide or don't read how to actually implement the program. It helps. So I've already got a dry run through this with myself. I've gone through how each lesson works, what I will need. And again, this is something she will do mostly independently with me checking on a daily basis, but it's listening to the audio, the little jingle to remember how to spell something, and then doing a quick spelling test every day until she gets 100%. This is not going to take long. So that's phonetic zoo. You can see she does have, just like my 7-year-old, a language arts chunk after lunch. So math, health, math skills, one of those vocab or editor independent work, lunch, then phonetic zoo, lightning literature, and IEW. That might seem like a lot. My daughter's in 6th grade. It's okay that her workload is increasing. We're not going to be done by noon. And that is completely normal, especially as your children get older. She is fully capable of this workload. Am I just accidentally dropping this on her with no warning in 6th grade? No, I've been scaffolding up to this type of stamina, this amount of work for years. Go look back in my videos. A lot of the things we're doing are extensions of things we've done in the past, so she's familiar with it. She knows how it works. She knows what's expected of her. This is how you make an independent learner in the older grades. It's not just handing them a workbook and expecting them to do something. You have to provide the scaffolding to get there, and also the trust and communication that the expectations are met and they clearly understand what's expected of them. So, first, lightning literature. Again, I've gone through this. This is part of my summer prep work, and already marked the pages she will need, and I just do that for her all the time. And then she knows what to do with this. So she will start with, because again, she's used this since first grade. So nothing new, nothing surprising. It does have a checklist for the student here, because again, the idea is that at this age, they're becoming more independent, but you still need to daily check their work. She'll be reading. It tells her what to read in here. I've already marked it with the little paper clips. You can see this is not long. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. This is what she's reading. This is a child that reads all the time. She'll get this done in like 5-10 minutes. That's not a lot. That's not asking too much of her at all. She'll answer the questions. She will read the grammar. And again, because it's being the beginning of the year, we're going through a lot of things she's already gone through. So setting is she knows what setting is. She'll go through the questions, and that is all. Day 1. Day 2, she will go on to the next chapter, Chapter 3, answer the questions, go over the grammar lessons. We do discuss the grammar lessons together. Sometimes she's capable of doing it independently. Like this week, I'm pretty sure she'll be able to do it independently because she knows what nouns are. She knows what setting are. She knows what these things are, but I do think it's a good review practice for her. And I'm sure as we get further into the book, it'll be newer concepts or building upon concepts she already learned where she will require more of my help. But I do check this daily to make sure she's understanding. And if she has questions, she of course approaches me. But you can see that's not a lot to be expected for language arts. One of the things that does take longer because she doesn't do the writing in Lightning Literature. So IEW is probably the thing that will take her the longest, and that's solely based on the fact that the videos are like 30-45 minute chunks. So we went with 2B. I did have her trial out 1B, I believe, this summer. She flew through it, so I decided to go with this, and she's already started it. She did week 1 last week. So we are on, or she's already done, yeah, she did week 1 last week, so she is on week 2 this week, and I do separate it in here so she can just grab and go. But you can see this is not too much for her. She has used IEW for multiple years. She understands how it works. She understands the expectations of her. There's a daily schedule written here. So you can see part 1 of video, read and discuss Frederick Douglass, that's done on the video. She writes a keyword outline. She's been doing that for years. She can do a keyword outline really easily. And then she tells me the keyword outline. We do not do fixate grammar because we have other things for that. Day 2, she writes part 2 of the video. So you can see part 1 video was 41 minutes, and then to that is the end. So the videos are the longer chunks of this. But again, that's the teaching part of it, so it's important. So she learns how to do those things in the video, and so on and so on. So the first 2 days, she's doing videos, and then doing, along with the videos, the instructions. So you can see day 3, that's when the independent work comes. So she'll read the source text, Harriet Tubman. She will do her keyword outline, and she'll start writing her paper. And then by Thursday, she will finish writing her 3-paragraph summary on that paper, including the things that need to be included in there, which again, checklist. Love this about IEW. They have a student checklist. These are the things expected in her paper. And again, she's familiar with this program. That's why not jumping around really does have some long-term benefits. Your child can more easily navigate the curriculum if they are familiar with it. So this is not something beyond her skill level. It is more time-consuming because of the videos, but she's also in middle school. She can do this. So that is IEW. And like I said, she's already did 1B, the first 3 weeks of that, flew through it. She's already done 1. So I know a lot of people like to soft start their homeschool year, but really our homeschool years are just continuations of each other. So I don't feel the need to just every day add a new subject. I think that'd be overwhelming for my kids, giving them that this is our schedule, this is what it's going to look going forward. They really do prefer that avenue. And then after that will be history. So you can see this is a big language arts chunk. But when she's doing IEW, I'm working with my 7-year-old with all about core knowledge. She can do Lightning Literature pretty much independently, needs my help as needed. Phonetic Zoo takes 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. So you can see it looks like a lot, but once you lay it out, it's not so bad. So On Tuesday, I can see when I lay it out where I have chunks of information. So for example, I eliminated an extra independent thing here in order to fit art in as a group subject. Same thing here. We don't have any extra independent work outside of this because we have science and history. And this one does have, Wednesday will be a fuller day. But the election unit, which I've already printed, looked over, prepared myself for, is not going to be really long. It's reading some pages out of a book and doing an activity related to that. So it's not overly time consuming, and my kids actually really enjoy the activities from Mint and Bloom. So this is not going to be, oh no, we have to do this. They're going to be excited about it. It's not going to take forever. So you can see here Wednesday, she does do Michael Clay Thompson. And how we just do that is I have the instructor manual. We'll be starting Grammartown. We'll just read a section out of it until I feel like it's time to stop. Again, I was looking through this. I already read the entire book myself to see, kind of where to stop when we're reading it. She's familiar with a lot of this. She knows how to do sentence analysis pretty easily. So I predict this will go pretty quickly for her. But again, I only have it once a week because we have a lot of language arts components in here. She's familiar with Michael Clay Thompson, how it works. She's done it the last 2 years. So I think it's completely fine having it one day a week where we do a chunk of it together. And yes, we do this together. The way things are explained, I want to make sure I'm there to help her understand it. Also, the language usage is at a higher level. Not for my daughter, but the fact that it expects a child to know more in this. I want to make sure I'm going through with her. So she'll continue that, lunch, Phonetics Zoo, IEW, Lightning Lecture, history, or election unit I already talked about. You can see we're doing Monday through Thursday, and the same with my 7-year-old. She's joining us for United States history Monday through Thursday. So I've already printed out things I needed for core knowledge. We're doing core knowledge United States history, and it's 7th grade. What I absolutely love about core knowledge, they provide pacing guides for you, schedules. So for United States history, the history of the United States, they offer 2 pacing guides. One, if you're going to complete the entire, because there's 2, it's broken up into 2 sections. If you're going to complete the entire United States history in 1 year, you choose this schedule. If you're going to break it up into 2 years, they have a pacing schedule for that as well. Because we did United States history last year with O Freedom, I want to get this done in a year. So I chose that pacing guide, and lo and behold, it's laid out for me perfectly, which I absolutely love. Less prep work for me. And again, part of my teacher prep is going through and understanding what's expected in each day, how much work is going to be included, because this level I've noticed has a lot more activity options, a lot more writing opportunities. So choosing what I want to do is going to be important, and that can be part of my weekly prep. Because every Saturday I do look over math, I do look over what's coming for the next year or the next week. I need to make sure I'm prepared to teach. So I've already started going through and reading the lessons, because this is the first history we've used in the middle school years, and figuring out what extension activities we'll be doing, but it lays it out really, really nicely, and I'm really excited to incorporate it this year. And I really like that it leaves time for learning labs, which core knowledge breaks it down how to do those different things, but it's not just so much teaching to the child, but really bringing them different situations and discussions and teaching them to think for themselves, which I absolutely love. But you can see this is all laid out for me, so I know we will do the first 7 weeks. So we're going to end right there for our break. Already laid out for me, perfect. I just need to, the week of, make sure that I'm prepared to teach. I've already printed out the extra activity guides or pages or worksheets I need that go with it. The reader is downloaded on my Mac desktop. The teacher guide is downloaded on my tablet. Again, teacher prep, those are things I've already started to work on in preparation for the new school year. But it's not going, I would say probably 45 minutes, I would anticipate, depending on the activity. Learning labs might be a little different. but this is our only group activity for Monday. And then Tuesday we have art, which again, I've already talked about this. It's not going to take a long time. It's going to be reading a art lesson. And then in the teacher guide, which I have, it has additional questions that go with that, check it understanding, different artist things, but it has a studio activity in some of them, so they get to practice what we're specifically talking about in here. But again, we've been doing art this summer, so I'm not anticipating that the transition to doing this will be difficult at all, and this is more of a fun subject, so I don't anticipate difficulties with that. I've talked about the election, same thing with science. We will do core knowledge science, 5th grade. I have not printed out the pacing guide or the extra sheets for that. That's still on my list, so I can't show you that. But again, history will be a chunk, science will be a chunk. And then because Friday is our lighter day, we'll be doing both science, finishing up what we didn't finish the previous day, and philosophy, which is literally just reading a couple pages in a book. So it seems like a lot, but once you get it on paper, once you look through things and really feel it out for how long it's going to take and the stamina of your particular child, you can make those choices. And like I said, this is a preliminary schedule. In that 7 weeks, if I noticed that something didn't fit or wasn't working, then I can make adjustments. It does not mean I drop an entire subject or curriculum. It means I adjust to where my child is at and what they need. So that is my schedule for my kids for the first 7 weeks of school. And if you have any specific questions about anything I talked about, or if you'd like to see maybe more of how I prep some of these things on a weekly basis, I do hope to share once we start school a day in the life so you can kind of see this in action, because I do think it's helpful to show the curriculum you're going to use, show how you schedule it out, and then show it actually in use to really see the process unfold. But this is my plan so far, and I'm really excited for the upcoming year. Like I said before, we're not going to be finishing before noon. I don't anticipate that. I anticipate using our time wisely, and there's nothing in here that I consider busy work. The things I'm having my kids do are for a purpose. Even the independent work is for a purpose. And this is what education can look like. It's not always the done before noon, flip-flop, not getting anything done. Sometimes it's really structured. Sometimes it's laid out. Sometimes it takes you longer. That's a normal homeschooling as well. So like I said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If not, thank you for watching.